there's no single silver bullet. Okay, basically it means if you expect it was one thing can solve all the problems, this thing does not exist. Okay, we all hope there's such thing there, but just unfortunately it will not be there. Okay, then what does that also mean is for each programming language, for each data structure, for each algorithm, when they design, they've been designed for certain, scenario, which is only, which is best fit for that thing. That's actually the reason you have to learn different. You have to learn different language to handle different cases, right? However, the good thing about this one is it's not totally isolated. It's not to say they are totally unrelated. No, it's not. By learning different language, you will actually see, there are some common core stuff which is shared by all different language. But when they design, they kind of like design something slightly different. For example, crossing Python and Java, you would all gonna see you have like share lots of commonality, right? For example, you have data type, right? The thing must have a type. I mean, in the future, you will learn some languages that do not have a type, which is, right now you might think, that's unthinkable, but yeah, there is an advantage of the language that does not have any type. Okay, so then the other one is you will have something like you need a certain control structure, like you need to, for example, repeat doing some things which you need a loop, or you need to do a branching, for example, based on certain conditions, you need to do different stuff, right? So you will have like if else, right? You're also gonna have like a function call, those kind of stuff, right? So lots of stuff are will share the similar thing. So that's reason, if you try to learn in a second language, you will basically like try to see the commonality crossing different languages. Then you will have a better understanding about the language. On the programming language side, one thing you should be saying is you should be the one to basically, because program language is a tool. You are the one to using that. You should not be like restricted by the language. Okay, so that's the key. Okay, so the stage one is just learning one programming language, right? Which I think you're already passing this stage. Okay, right? Stage two is you're gonna learn some. This is the one which is crossing all the language, which is learn the data structure and the algorithm. Okay, so this part should be independent of language. Essentially, is it's kind of true and false because for algorithm, it's definitely independent of the programming language. For the data structure, it's kind of like it's not totally independent because because the actual implementation will depend on different language. But this is the Google Classroom we will be using. Okay, this is Google Classroom we'll be using. So I put some because I think only Andrew is the one who actually took my previous Java class. I don't know the rest of you. How good. I heard from Grace. Some of you are really really good. So but I will provide some Java learning resource in here. This is just a starter. Okay. So now let's do a quick intro for this one. So this is from W3 school. So this is a quick intro for all the very fundamental concept in Java. Right now I assume you should know most of them. If you don't, you can just always easily coming back for a reference. For example, if you don't know certain thing, you can just coming back to do a check. This is number one. Second one is there is a very good Java practicing, because this is things like you learn something, you also need a place to do the practice, right? You also need a place to do the practice. I recently found out one of this excellent practice site for you to test whether you actually, how good you actually know about your Java knowledge, this site is called Praxit. Okay, let me just show this. Okay, yeah. Let me start over. So, I put this one in here, but you can just you can just search in the Google, say, okay, Praxit, right? So, okay, see the URL. URL is from cswashington.edu. So this is actually is like done by the UW, which is University of Washington. It's I think they are very good at the CS. It's kind of like ranked like in the top 10 in the the CS. What you want to do is this. So go in here. This thing called the Building Java program. This is corresponding to one of their class. So you can just go here to do practice the thing. For example, if you I'm just say okay, if you click here, there's a bunch of like question. You can just say okay, because this one, then then you can just try it, and then you can submit. So this is a very, very good one, especially if you are preparing for like APCSA. If you're preparing for APCSA, or you because this one has almost cover all the stuff you need to know about the Java, plus some actual for example, the later one also cover the data structure related to the Java, like for example, array list, stack, queue, linked list, binary tree, in here, right, hash, right? So that's the thing, right? So I strongly recommend you to do this exercise. Okay, you're gonna benefit huge on this, on this, and also in here there is a corresponding like a course related to this, because this is actually the exercise for one of the university level, the class. So for example, this one has all the video, has all the video related to this. So because I just provide this one in here because for this class we are mostly focused on the USACO branch. But in case like if you say I learned a little bit of Java, but when I learned Java I didn't really learn that well, so maybe I don't really know that much about this topic. Here's the resource. You can just watch the videos and try to do some exercises there. And of course, you can always ask me questions. Okay, so this is very important. Yeah, this is the other related thing. Then coming back to this one. Coming back to this one. So if you are doing like undergrad students in the in like CS major, normally what you're gonna do in the first year, you're gonna probably take a class on programming language, something like that, introduction to Python, introduction to Java, or something like that. In the second year, you will gonna do something like data structure with the corresponding programming language. Then normally in the third year, you will do something like intermediate algorithm, something like that. So that's kind of like the order. So that's actually the reason if you kind of like already starting earlier, this is you kind of start early. So you will basically, if you are really interested in doing the CS major, you kind of like already can build yourself a very solid foundation. So that's like yeah, that is up on this part. And also I'm gonna put in more related resource into here, because the one I haven't put in here is some common data structure you need to know for Java. Okay, I'm gonna write it here. I'm gonna write it. Sorry, I'm kind of like a back and forth of checking this one. Common data structure. First one is definitely the array. Then you can also think about when I list this one, you can think about whether you know that one or not, right? Then the second one is a linked list. Linked list, we have single linked list, double linked list. Then you have tree. Tree was kind of like one of is like mostly like a binary tree. Then also there was a special one called a binary search tree. Basically, it's a BST. Then we have stack and a queue. Then we have like a hash set and a table. Then we have a heap. Sometimes we also call it a priority queue. Then last but not the least, which is sometimes we call ordered set or ordered set or table. In Java, basically this is the tree set and the tree map. Tree set and the tree map. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's the most common 7 data structure you should be know. Okay, that's the 7 one, and there are like a more advanced data structure, but which that is not what you like. You need to that is like if you are really interested in this, then. But this is the first step you need to get through. I think for the browse, this is actually more than enough for the browse. This even covers something in the civil. This is even covers something in the civil. I think for the browse, maybe you just need to know array linked list, hash. I don't think you need to know stack and queue. Heap maybe, order set table. So you don't so basically that should be covered more than enough. First thing you need to do is this: go to this website, register. Okay, let me first log out. Register for a new account. Okay, register for a new account. Username doesn't matter, but make sure you give the true name, the true first name and the last name. You give a school, give the true graduation year. Give the true graduation year. Okay. This is very important. Okay. This is very important. And because say if you going back, every contest, the currently USACO, you kind of already know it has a 4 different levels, right? Bronze, silver, gold, and plan 2, right? Above plan 2, you will go to like if you did really really well in the plan 2, you will be selecting into the training camp, right? Just like these are the one. Well, so you can go to the training camp, okay? Go to the training camp, and USACO, you kind of like know the purpose for USACO is for Team USA to selecting the folks to representing USA to go to the IOI, right? So this is I know like if some of you also doing like a math competition, then you know, like for example if you do AMC, AMI, those things, then that was also the selection process. Eventually, if you did really really well, you can representing US to go to the IMO, right? So that's the same thing. But the only difference, IOI only have 4 people, which is IMO like 6 people. So that's like I think it was 5 like a major Olympic, in the STEM area like math, physics, chemistry, biology, and also information. Yeah. So that's the 5 major ones, right? And also we have 3. Sorry, we have question. Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that one. Okay, so also for we have like some like growth. So this is a new competition called EGOI. EGOI is just for growth. So I think this year is the 2nd year. I think they just started like last year. So if you do really really well, you will also gonna be selected into to representing as so that's reason I'm very glad we see more and more growth like the programming okay, then I'm gonna talk a little bit about so let me just go here. So okay, so every year you will have 4 times to take the competition. So this season's schedule has not been out yet, but they kind of like always like going like this. So if I do a wild guess, this year will be something also around like December 16 to 19. So normally what they do is you do a weekend. So the weekend is from Friday to the next Monday. Okay, Friday to the next Monday. You have like 4 days. You have like 4 days. Okay, you have 4 days. But the actual contest is like this. Every contest has 3 problems. I think you have 4 hours. You have 4 hours. So except the open you have 1 extra hour. Open you have 1 extra hour. Okay, open you have 1 extra hour. Then you have like 3 problems, 4 hours. Okay, essentially is during those weekend like 4 days, you can pick a time. You can pick a time when you feel like you are ready. Then you can just start the contest. Okay, so there's no actual registration step which is needed. As long as you have an account in this website, then you can take the contest. Because before the contest, there will be a new page, show up. Then there will be a link. Once you go to the link, the contest will there. So there was something like start contest. Then you can, it will start. Then the server side will just do the time like a countdown. So yeah, and so right now, if you never come or you like the first time, you will be in the bronze level. Then if you like every time there will be a cutoff. See, for example, this one is 750. So if you pass in the cutoff, then you will be automatically advanced to the next level. Then you can just there is a one catch is if you got a 4 mark, if you got a 4 mark in the contest, you will get something called immediately promotion to the next level. So what does that mean? Essentially, is in the same weekend, for example, you starting taking the bronze. If you get a 4 mark, you are automatically promoted to the silver, which means during that same weekend, you can also take in the silver. Okay, you can also take in the silver. That's the reason. Previously, there are people like they can promote like we heard like people like this actually happened. Some folks really good. They basically promote twice, so they can directly go to bronze to plan to. Actually, that needs to promote 3 times, right? So you promote once, twice, 3. Yeah. During the same weekend, take 3 contests, then you directly go to the plan 2. I mean, that happened before. But it just nowadays it's become more and more difficult. Okay, it's more and more difficult. And also, I'm also give like from like an industry perspective. What's the difficulty for this? First 2 level is reasonable. First 2 level is reasonable. For example, if you the question in the civil, if you can get everything in the civil, what does that mean? I give you a reference. Essentially, is all the big tech company when they do the algorithm interview, then you should have no problem. You should have no problem at all. To be honest, for example, I'm in Amazon, so I just interviewed a couple of people, last week. The interview question we given is easier than the question in civil. Is easier than the question in civil. So and also I know like in the industry, for example, I think the most difficult interview question mostly coming from Google, right? Even for the Google's question is somewhere between civil and the gold. It's not, and also these days it's kind of like towards down to the civil. So so that's what does that also mean is this contest when you go to the higher level, it could be really, really difficult. So yeah, but the good side is if you do the bronze and the silver, you kind of like already like if that can give you a pretty good solid thing if you want to future landed a job in the big tech company. Okay, so at least you're not going to be afraid of the algorithm thing. So I mean, that's the bright side. Okay, that's the bright side. Yeah, and also regarding to the language, the whole thing is really called competitive programming. In the competitive programming community, the dominant language is actually C++. I would explain a little bit why. Okay, so but for respect to USACO, Java has no problem to passing the first two level because actually I think we have students like so basically is in the last 3 years, for all the students I've been coaching, we do have some students they start off with the C++, but we also have quite amount of people, quite amount of students, they're using Java to passing the first two. Once they go to the gold, they're switching to C++. And also from Java to switching to C++ is easy. It's like 1 or 2 weeks. It's not very difficult. Respect to Python, Python passing bronze, yes, that that can be done. That's not a problem. Python will have an issue in the civil. And I have a student actually. I only have one student passing civil using Python. And also, the problem he had is his algorithm has no problem, but it's just the performance. Okay, it's just the runtime. So I think in that context, the best he can get is like 800. Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't really talked about how the grading scale is doing here. So the whole contest is the total point is like 1,000. 1,000. They will be evenly distributed into 3 problems, which means each problem is like 333 points. Okay. Then if you go to each problem, you're gonna see in here. Interesting. Huh? How come they did not say that? I mean, let me use a different one. I think. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. Normally they should put scoring in here. So scoring here basically means this one has a 15 test case. This one has a 15 test case. So each test case will have equal weight. So for example, this question is like 333 points, then divided by 15. So each test case is roughly like 20 something, 20 something points. Okay, 20 something points. So when you submit your code, you will get your result. If you get green, it's you passed, right? Basically, so that's the reason. Once you finish the contest, you should be able to know. You should be able to calculate how many points you will get. How many points you will get. For example, if I get like 10 out of 15, I will get 2/3 of this one. So I'm gonna get something like 222 from this particular problem. Then for the contest, you just you add all these things together. That will be your total points. And in order to pass in bronze, if you check all the historical cutoff, if you can get anything like more than 800, you guarantee passed. You guarantee passed. Okay, you guarantee passed. So we have one student who actually, so he tried, say, oh, you tried, did not pass. So basically, what's happening is in the last 2 years, the contest become the difficulty about the contest. We kind of feel they have a sudden increase. They have a sudden increase in all division. Especially last December, the bronze is probably the most difficult one in all the past bronze. So that's actually the reason you see the passing score is like 700. So on the other hand, the difficulty will be adjusted. The cutoff will be adjusted depends on the difficulty. So that's actually the reason. One thing. So based on this, 2 advice for you. Number one, you should try all contests if possible, unless you have time conflict. You should try all contests. The other one is for each contest. If you feel like you did badly, don't worry. Maybe you did badly, other people also did badly, or maybe just because the contest is very difficult, the cutoff will be adjusted. Okay, the cutoff will be adjusted, right? And also, as I said, because the difficulty is not so stable across all the contests, there is a, I hate to call this, but there is a thing called luck. There is a thing because this become more and more important in the upper level, because the problem is in the lower level, for example, in the bronze, there's only this many topics they can test. Okay, in the upper level, there's the number of the topics they can test is huge. That's the reason. It's very often, we have students, they are really good at a certain topic, but they are really bad at some other topic. Then, because every contest only has three problems, right? So then, if the problem was covering the topic you're really not good at it, then you probably, okay, that's a bad luck, right? But maybe next time they will cover something which is you're really good at it, then you will pass. We see this happen. That's actually the reason. Try every contest. Try every contest. Okay, try every contest. This and also they give a whole weekend. So they give a whole weekend. You should be able to find like 4 hours to do that. So that's not that's not like that is about this one. Okay. So this is about the USACO. Then besides USACO, there was another contest. Called ACSL. So how many people heard about this one? Have you heard about this one? If you heard about this one, just plus one in the thing. Nobody heard about this one? Okay, so I'm also organizing teams to participate in this one. So I think I give you guys one of the benefits. Basically is unless you strongly against, I will register for you for this one for free. Okay, so I think this is a really good one, side by side with the USACO. And this one, let me just do a quick introduction about this one. So DDD. Oh yeah, okay. So this one is divided into two stages. You have like a regular season. Regular season is something from November to next April. Okay, November to next April. Then in this one you have like 4 contests. Each contest you will basically accumulate some points. Then if you accumulate enough points, you will be advanced to the final. Final is in like Memorial Weekend. Okay, in the Memorial Weekend. So this one is even more flexible than USACO. Essentially is for example, you see the contest one is the test will be available from October 31 to January 15. That's almost like 2.5 months. In 2.5 months, you can decide when to take the test. Okay, so this is even more flexible than the USACO. So and also this contest is relatively easier than the USACO, because the purpose for this one is just it's just to promote the computer science education among the middle school and high school. So but in order to register this one, I think I have your guys' name and the email, but what I need to, sorry. Yeah. So in the USACO, there is a start button. Once you click start, it's counting the time. You actually on the page, it's actually counting time. For the ACSL, is something similar. ACSL, basically what's happening is when the test starts, you will receive some email. Okay, the email will contain a link. In the link, basically is you only click a link when you ready to take the test. Okay, so the test contain like two parts. One part is the where is graphic? Okay, so and also this one has like 5 different divisions. We will register in this 3. So the general is like you need to so some information I need to gather from you essentially is what your current grade. For example, if you are in the middle school, I will register you to the junior division. If you are in high school, for example, if you're in like a grade 9 or 10, I will probably register you at the intermediate division. If you're in like 11 or 12, I will probably register you at the senior division. Okay, I mean, I think that this is a really good, contest, So we have a separate training on that, and that's totally free. So once we get you registered, I will send you that information to you. Okay, so that's basically is this. So, but to make sure, I probably send something after this, then get some extra information, then I can get you registered. Unfortunately, the leaderboard right now is not open yet. Maybe I can show you. What? Yeah, the leaderboard right now is not open. I may be able to show you the leaderboard maybe next 2 weeks, something like that, because the leaderboard will be open on October 1st. So this is something I give you guys as a benefit. Okay, so okay, then what else? The ACSL and the USACO are the 2 major coding competition for middle school and high school. Of course, there are like inside of the competitive programming community, there are like more, a lot of other like competition. For example, some folks probably know this one, right? Code Force, right? So this is kind of like ultimate arena. What? No, not this one. Oh, okay. Currently, yeah, okay. This is ultimate, the competitive programming, arena. And I will not suggest you to go here right now. Don't go there now, okay? But instead, you should go to this place. You can go to something called the lead code. Lead code, right? I think the lead code is probably more suitable for you, for your current level. Once you play, good at this one. What? Yeah. So this is a one. So I think once you have the Google account, you should be able to like log in. This one does have a paid streaming service, but you don't need it. What does that mean? Is like there are certain questions which is locked. Let me find some. No, so far I don't find any locked question. Okay, yeah. Let me just do a quick search. Okay, so for example, yeah. If you not pay, you will not be able to do the locked question, but that's okay. There's a tons of other questions you can do. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's for this. So I might. So this is something you can try, and also for preparing for the USACO, I think so far the best one is this one called the USACO.guide, and they kind of like listing all the topic you need for each division. Although I'm not totally agree with how they divide the topic, but this is a good one. This is a really good one. We probably gonna reference some of the topic here as well. So essentially, is in order for preparing for this, we're gonna go through some of the topic which is required. Will be tested in the browser, and also where's this one? Also practicing the past contest. Practicing the past contest. Try to prioritize the one in the recent year, because as I said, in the last 2 years, the contest difficulty increasing a lot. And also, you don't need to worry about anything before 2015. The reason is, I think this. Let me see. Oh, I think this is the one. Yeah. Okay. So you don't need to worry about anything before 2015. The reason is, there is a change in the USACO along the line of between 2014 and 2015. Before 2015, you only have 3 divisions. You only have gold, silver, and the bronze division. That's actually the reason at that time, some bronze problem is kind of could be more difficult than what is required right now. So it's kind of like the bronze problem is maybe between the current bronze and the silver. I guess for the practice purpose that might be okay, but there is a change, during this time. Okay, there is a change during this time, and so that would give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 years about past the contest. 7 years, then we have every year we have 4 contests. That's give you 28. Then each contest will have 3 problems. So that would give you 84. So total that would gonna be 84 problems, right? So considering we have roughly how much time? 1, 2, 3. We have less than 3 months, right? I don't expect it. You can finish all the. I mean, if you can, that would be awesome. But that would be a little bit challenging. Okay, that would be a little bit challenging. Really, I would say, 2 years ago, the bronze contest is much easier. At that time, all you need to do is you kind of you know how to manipulate the string. You need to how to manipulate this one-dimensional array. Then that should be good. But it's just the things from in the last 2 years, especially this one. Okay, 2021 December. This one is so difficult but you see the difficulty dropped after in the next 2. So yeah, but it's also causing some damage because I have some students who who did the December 2021. It was get smashed so hard, so they even refused to take any contest. I mean that's also not good, right? So it's just a one-time. First, this is not even a failure, right? Even it's a one-time failure, what's the big deal, right? That's part of the growing, right? When you along the side of the growing, it's gonna fail anyway. It's gonna fail at some point, early or So don't be afraid of failure, okay? Don't be afraid of failure. That's the thing. And also, we have a Discord. We have a Discord. I will post the Discord info in the classroom. You can join the Discord, and my general rule is this: if you have any question, you should get you should get those questions answered. If you have a help from your family or your friends, we're totally fine. But since I'm your teacher, you should you can always get help from me. So basically means you can send your question to on the Discord. I'm not gonna promise you I'm gonna reply you immediately because sometimes I'm busy in some other things. But normally you should get my answer within 24 hours. Okay, you should get my answer in 24 hours. And also the other thing is, you also need to learn how to ask questions because I'm not gonna answer your question say, hey, I don't know how to do this problem. That's not a good question because if you say you don't know how to do something, you should at least show, okay, I tried, a better way to answer this question is, hey, for this particular question, I tried to do this, but it doesn't work because it's, give me this error message or, this is get a timeout or whatever, if you have a source code, send me the source code, then I can take a look at the source code. I can tell you what go wrong because the main difference is if you say I don't know how to do this question, it's a little bit difficult for me to to say, did you even try, right? Did you even try? If you didn't try, then you ask there's question, and that's not really a responsible way. But I can totally understand sometimes even you tried, you still cannot get it, right? So the more specific with the detail, the better the question. Okay, I can give you the better answer, right? If the very generic question, you're not going to expect this very good answer. So that's kind of like the thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I guess so. I'm gonna pause here. Do you guys have any questions so far, or is this all good? We are very quiet, so I don't know. Like, okay. Okay. Cool. So, then so today we're not gonna talk about actual topic. I'm gonna go over two basic stuff. Okay, two basic stuff. The first one is because in this question, number one thing you need to do is you need to read the input and read the input and how many people have like a local like IDE? Do you guys know what is IDE? If I say IDE, do you know what is this? Like, let me just go back to this one. Do you guys, anyone know what is this? No? Basically means you need to write, for example, when you write some Java code, right? Where did you write it? Anyone? Can you just type how you write it in the, in the chart so I can see? Okay. Oh, we have Visual Studio. You mean Visual Studio Code, right? Or Visual Studio? Okay. I assuming you mean Visual Studio Code, right? Visual Studio, no, Android Studio. Oh, Android Studio. Okay. Android Studio. Me. Okay. Anyone else? BlueJ. BlueJ. Okay. BlueJ. Okay. We have other people. Well, I think we only have three people answered. So Eclipse, IntelliJ. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. I don't know about the BlueJ. Okay. So let me do this. So okay. I will get a video in here. I'm not going to show it. My personal recommendation is IntelliJ. I think we have one people using that. IntelliJ, just go to download, do the community version. Community version. This is good enough. This is a very good. So I think we have one people using Eclipse. Eclipse is very, very slow. I mean, it's okay to keep using that, but you can try IntelliJ. I think IntelliJ is much better. And also, I assuming when you guys say Visual Studio, you talk about the Visual Studio Code, right? You're not talking about the Visual Studio, the whole thing, right? You talk about the VS Code. VS Code is also fine. VS Code, but if you do VS Code, you need a Java plugin, right? Yeah, VS Code need a Java plugin. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm using VS Code as well. But for Java, I'm kind of using IntelliJ. So that's like I think in many, at least in Amazon, like Java, like most time we're using like yeah. So IntelliJ and the Visual Studio Code both are recommended. Okay, both are recommended. So then you are all good. Of course, like there are some like online like thing you can do a short quick thing, which is like online Java, like something like this one. You can think, yeah, for example, this one is fine. This is fine, but if you do some like short stuff, but not good for the not good for the USACO. Okay, this is not good for the USACO. In USACO, you do need a local IDE for you to do this. Okay, so get your I'm gonna have I will post a video on how to set this one up in the Google Classroom. If you haven't do this one, just make sure you do it. Okay. So my general recommendation is this: if you feel like the current IDE is you are really very good, you don't have to change that one right now. Okay. Oh, you mean 2019 version? IntelliJ can do auto update. I don't have this one in here, but when you launch IntelliJ, go to help, then under the drop down there's a thing called check for update. Then you can just do the update. I mean, you don't have to get the latest version as long as it's working. No, yeah, as long as it's working, you don't have to get the latest one. It's just like I'm kind of like a very so I kind of like to always get the latest update, but there is a risk. There is a risk. Okay, so because sometimes the update could screw up everything. So so that's the thing, right? So yeah, but my point is you need some local development environment, and it's better, it's easy to use, and also it's better, it's very fast. Okay, otherwise you really don't want to say like when you open the thing it's still loading, but you're trying, that's kind of like a waste of time. That's not good. Okay. Okay, so then the first thing we want to do some very basic stuff is I need to read this input. How do I do that? I'm going to show you one way to do it. Oh, there's also related to this. For USACO, I think input output have some change. I think before 2019, you need to do the file, if I remember correctly. Let's just try this. You need to do the file, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So if you're working on anything before 2019, you need to do the file. Basically means you need to handle the thing reading from your input is from a file, then you also write it to another file, or you also write it to another file. But after 2019, things changed. You can do this one directly from the standard input and output. I give you both example on how to do that. I give you both, and also it's interchangeable. It's interchangeable, so it's very easy. So I give you one example on this one, which is so handle the input. You can do this. You pass in the system.in, then you give it to the input string reader, then you do the buffer reader, then this will give you the buffer reader. After that, every time you read from one line, you just do f.read line. You just do f.read line. Okay? You just do the f.read line. It will give you a string of this particular line. Okay? Then if you sorry, I'm kind of like, but yeah. If I have a bunch of this one, then what am I gonna do? So if I'm reading this one as a string of 4, 1, 2, 3, I need to. That's not what I want. I want this one to get a 4 integer, which is 4, 1, 2, 3, instead of a whole string. The standard way to do this you can do is let me give you another example. Is you can do the you can do a string tokenizer. Huh? Doesn't have it. Yeah. So this is how you can do a line. So you do this one will give you the string of that particular line. Then you passing this string into the string tokenizer. Then you just keep calling string tokenizer.next token. Next token will automatically do the parsing. Then you call whatever the thing to the pass. If it's an integer, you pass to an integer. If it's a double, you pass to a double. If it's a float, is passing to a float. Okay, so really it was only like two cases. It's only like two cases, right? So if I'm having this one, so okay, let me maybe write this one down at some point. Hmm? Basically means um, so right. So then you do string tokenizer. So you do something like st dot string tokenizer. Then you do like st dot next token. This will pass in the next. So right. So for example, in here you may just get things like oh shoot. Right. So after you do this will give you like what you want is you want is like this 4, 1, 2, and 3, right? So it's gonna automatically do the parsing. Okay. Then after this, then you do another like a pass to the type you want. You want to pass in the type you want. Okay. So this is for the input, and so oh sorry, this is thinking. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Basically means they changed it in the last 2 years. Before that, you have to read from a file. So this is but I can show you. So basically means, but you only need to do one line change. You only need to do one line change. So if you do a file, how to do that? If you do a file, you do this. Okay. For example, the file is normally like they give something like yeah. So this is some. For example, this is some file. This is the file name is always you have a name. The input file is called this name dot in. This name dot in. Output file is called this name dot out. Okay, they have this pattern. That's the reason I write some code like this. You define some file name like this. Then see, I'm from input. All I want is I want to get a buffer reader. But instead of doing the stream reader here, I'm passing a file reader. I'm passing a file reader. Okay, so this will read the file. This will read the file. This will read the file. So if we do a side-by-side comparison in here, sorry, I don't know how to do side-by-side comparison, but if you see here, this is the font is the same, right? Buffer reader dot buffer reader, input string reader. In here, this is a file reader. That's the only difference. Okay. The rest after this step, the rest is the same. The rest is the same. Okay. The rest is the same. Then after that, then you call f dot read line, just going to read the input line by line. It's just like, you control which source it's passing. If it's passing from standard input, you're using, this input stream reader. If it's input from a file, you're passing a file reader with the name. What's the buffer reader? That's a good question. So, okay, I can talk a little bit about this one. But that's a very good question. So, let me just, okay, suppose you want to read something from the file. This is a file. Where the file gonna store? The file normally stored in the hard disk, right? No. So you have a CPU somewhere in here. You don't directly read the file into CPU. What is the middle part? Anyone know? If you read this one in here, what is the middle part? Anyone? What is the exactly? That's the memory. So you need something in the memory to basically, and this thing normally is just, this is where the buffer reader, So essentially you can think about this, you read this piece into this buffer first. Okay? Then they do this. Okay? Yeah, but that's so each reader was handling the things like at a different, at a different layer, right? So that's where this thing is. But now you can think about is, if this is the standard input, maybe it's from keyboard or from whatever, It's all goes through to the buffer first. Then that's where this. So buffer reader essentially is the one that will basically handling this part. Similarly, if you think if I reverse all the arrow back, that would be the right. Right? So if we look at the right, that's exactly the same thing. So that would basically handle the output, right? So for example, handling output, so this is like output string, then you buffer reader, then the print writer, right? So this is kind of like this. Then in this case, it's the same thing. Only difference is instead of using the output string writer, you're using file writer, the file writer. After that, then in this one, after this you get this out object. You get this out object, then you can do like the standard thing, like out.print line. Then you just do out.print line or print or whatever thing, you do print or do print line, that would be the same as, like, one more. Oh, I will put this one. I think I will put this one as a note in the classroom. So this is I think this is just a very, I think the output is relatively easy. Oh, there is one more thing. It's very important. You need to close this out. You need to close this. Okay? You need to close this. In the older days, when you're dealing with the file stuff, if you don't close this one, your file will still be empty. Okay? The file will still be empty. So this is very important. And also for the good programming practice, closing this object is also good because this will avoid the memory leak. So that's another thing which is like, but right now you're not going to worry about the memory leak, but that's like a good practice. Essentially, is like you open, then you, especially handling the input and output. When you open the input, something you want to close that one as well. Okay, you just don't forget to close this one before you exit the program. So this is something very important. So this is something like on the input and output. And I will I think what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna post some like the standard. I post the notes in the classroom. Then you guys can follow. So I give some examples. Say, okay, if the input is this, how you gonna do that? You know, so this is the first thing. Then you can at least start to try some of the stuff. Okay. Yeah. This is this. Then we're gonna talk about another very important thing. How are we doing on time? Okay. Yeah, we still have time, which is good. Oh, this the next thing I'm going to talk about is something called time complexity and the space complexity. To be honest, 2 years ago I'm not going to do that because 2 years ago in Bronx, they never tested timeout. Essentially, previously in the Bronx, if the program has timeout error, oh yeah, sorry, I need to I need to show you guys this one. I think this is somewhere mentioned in. Yeah. Your result. Is they mention something like this? Where is the thing which is oh, I guess so when you submit your program, you get a green, you get a pass, right? But there will be a different set of error. Number one is wrong answer. Wrong answer basically means your answer is different from expected answer. That normally means your program probably contain a bug or something. Some edge case you did not consider, so you need to change your logic, right? Or you get compile. Well, if it's not compiled, you will not be able to submit. If you have like a runtime error will be a little bit tricky. Either you have like unhandled exception. For example, you have like the common one like the index out of bound. For example, you have an array. You try to access some index which is not beyond the scope. Then you get index out of bound exception. Then if your code have like unhandled exception, you will get a runtime error. Okay. However, there's another one which is very tricky. Essentially, is the timeout, because every program they will only give you a certain amount of the time to run. I don't remember exactly. I think normally is like C++ is like 2 seconds, Java is like 4 seconds. Python, I think Python is the same as Java, or Python is the same as Java, or maybe a little bit more than Java. So what does that mean? Essentially, is if your program, even your program is correct, but if your program is too slow, you are like you cannot finish all the thing within the given time constraint. They will still not allow you to pass. So this is normally this is not happening in Bronx, but in the last year they did this one in Bronx. So Bronx, for example, you have 11 test cases, right? The last one is used to do this. In the community, basically the discussion essentially say is like they want to reduce the number of the people who can get instant promotion, because as I said, if you get a full mark, you get instant promotion. So essentially they say, okay, I give you one test case which is gonna be test your time complexity, but without that test case, you can still pass in the whole test. Okay, but you will just not be able to immediately pass, because as I said, if you do the instantiary promotion, you can do the next level in that weekend, immediately. So, but without that one, you have to wait at least 1 month. Okay, so that's the major difference. But I think talking about time complexity is good, because like for each problem, first is we definitely want to get the correct solution. on top of that, you also want your solution to running efficiently. You also want your solution to run efficiently, right? It's that's reason it's kind of like good to get this idea earlier rather than late. Because to be honest, I don't think your goal is to just pass in the bronze. I mean, because if you ever want, for example, this will be an issue in the civil immediately. So looking ahead, if you learn earlier, you're going to benefit along the road. So that's the idea. Okay. So, but we need to understand how we actually evaluate the complexity, right? How we evaluate the complexity. So this is what we're talking about on the time complexity and the space complexity. So we first talk about time complexity. Time complexity basically is this, right? So like you have a code which is sorry, 1 minute. So okay, so normally you will have some input. You have some input. For example, it's a string, or maybe an array of integer, right? So then we have something to measuring the size of the input. In the string case, that's the length of the string. In the array, that's the size of the array, right? The size of the array, suppose this is n. Then we treated the time complexity as a function of this input size. Right? So, I mean, in the simplest case, we consider single input, right? But in the later, you will see you might have multiple input. For example, you have a two-dimensional array, then you will have a two because the number of the row and the number of the column, right? So that's gonna automatically gonna be 2. So your running time will be a function of that, right? So, and also, for example, in the future, you learn the graph, then you will know like you have the number of the edges and the number of the node. That's like also that's a two different thing, right? So that's like so your function, your running time will be depends on both, right? So then in terms of the time